Welcome to Think Bigger Voices, hosted by Jennie Treby and co-produced by Tony DiBenedetto. We're on a mission to break the cycle of poverty for kids in America by inspiring education, advocacy, and action in our communities. We'll tackle big subjects, talk to the experts, and promote the solutions making an impact. Join us if you believe that every kid deserves the opportunity to think bigger.
Hi, I'm Jennie Treby with Think Bigger Voices. We're on the road, and we are at Florida State University at the College of Business. And with me today is Dr. Deonte Brown. Dr. Brown is the director of Florida State's CARE program. CARE stands for the Center for Academic Retention and Enhancement. Welcome, Dr. Brown.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here today. So I wanted to begin by asking you, what is CARE for our listeners?
That's a really great question. So CARE here on campus is what we call a comprehensive support center for our first generation students who are utilizing the Pell Grant for their education, or students who were a part of the foster care system, wards of the state, experience homelessness, and even our K-12 partners. We have partnerships with a number of school districts to support their students in finding college. So we are truly a comprehensive support system from the K-12 side to our college students. And so we offer a variety of services that just focus on student success, thriving, empowerment, encouragement for those particular populations of students.
So talk to me a little bit more about who these students are in the CARE program.
Yeah, so on our K-12 side, we're actually supporting students as young as kindergartners through one of our summer reading programs. So from kindergarten to high school in school districts that include Jackson County, Leon County, Gaston County, Madison County, Suwannee, and Hamilton County. So counting in the Panhandle along the I-10 corridor. A lot of our students in those programs will be the first in their family to go to college. They are receiving free or reduced lunch, so they're low-income families, and they're from more rural areas. So they have a limited option or opportunities for advanced coursework or exploration of college. And so that's kind of our K-12 side. Then our college students are largely from the state of Florida. They are majority first-generation college students, so that means they are the first in their families who will be getting a college degree, or their parents don't have a college degree. We also have students who are utilizing the Pell Grant, so those are students who have limited income from their family. And so we're thinking about that's the bulk of our students. They're first generation, limited income from the state of Florida. We recently expanded, so we have some out-of-state students who are now starting to affiliate and connect with CARE, but predominantly we're supporting our Florida students. And overwhelmingly, South Florida dominates within our program and our department. So we have a large pipeline of students who come from the South Florida region up to Tallahassee through CARE. And so we have students from almost every county. We were very proud recently that we did cover the majority of counties. Some of our holdouts were like Liberty County, Volusia, down in the Florida Keys. And so we've been able to get students from those areas recently. So we're very proud of the work that we're able to do with admissions to make sure that all of our students have an option to come to college.
So when you say South Florida, the students are coming from like Miami-Dade and
Broward, okay. Palm Beach are the big three for us from the South Florida area, with Miami-Dade and Broward battle it out each year to see who's going to be the top producer for us, but the majority of them are from Broward or Miami-Dade.
So tell us a little bit more about these particular students and what their journey is like. And I know you can't do one size fits all, but in general, what is life like for these students before they come to college?
That's a really great question. Thank you for allowing me to follow up a little more about the students. And so for students who are coming to us through our CARE department, the majority of them are coming from Title I schools. So that means their schools are considered to be low resourced and they get additional funding from the federal government, from local government to kind of help provide opportunities, but often that's still not enough. So a lot of our students are coming from schools that have very limited AP courses, IB courses, or accelerated mechanisms like dual enrollment. And so when we think about the typical profile of a college admit, they have more than one, sometimes they have more than 4 AP courses that they've taken in their career in high school, when a lot of our students are coming from schools that, if any, offer maybe 1 or 2 AP courses. So they have very limited options in terms of that. There's also sometimes a lack of exposure to what the college going process would be. And so there's a focus on high school graduation, but not necessarily exploring that in depth the pathways beyond that. A lot of our students are working while they're in high school to support their families or to support themselves. As I said, we do have some students who have experienced homelessness who are wards of the state. And so they are balancing high school, working, and some of them have duties with their family. And so they're really balancing and juggling a lot while they're trying to figure out what's next for me in the next 4 years. But we also have students who get very involved in high school. Sometimes we like to say too involved, but they are trying to keep up with the continuing generation students. So they see that students who come from families who have a long line of going to college, they are involved in SGA, they're doing extracurriculars like sports, they're in service organizations. So our first gen students are trying to take classes, work, and be involved in 4 or 5 different extracurriculars to be competitive with other students. And so they're managing a lot. And so we also know that they deal with trauma. Our first generation students typically come from low income homes. And so we've had stories of students sharing, that they've seen eviction processes happen. Like they've, again, had to move multiple times during their journey. So there's a lot of different lived experiences that our first generation students have. And so we want to make sure that we are able to support them once they are here at Florida State and know that there's a community for them that's going to champion their success.
So these kids are pretty incredible. So they're working and they're involved and they're going to school and they're supporting their families. How do they get from a Title I school to Florida State? How does that happen?
Yeah, we go and find them. So that's one way.
Yeah.
So we have a great relationship with our Office of Admissions here at Florida State. And so we do joint recruiting with our Office of Admissions. So they have schools that they are going to go to, and then we also come in, supplement that, and go to some additional schools. But we try to make ourselves available. This year, my team from CARE was on the road in Orlando, Miami-Dade. We were slated to be in Hillsborough, but that was the hurricane weekend. And so we actually just did a virtual session for Hillsborough County. But we send our team out to really support them. And with Jacksonville, Gaston County, Leon County, and Orlando, we have what we call high school partners. And so those are select schools that we are working directly with to help their students navigate the college going process. Our partners down in South Florida do a great job. A lot of them have college advisors within the schools. And so we partner with them as well to send information. We will have phone calls, Zoom calls, whatever we need to do to help the students navigate that process. And so we're lucky in CARE that our reputation kind of speaks for itself in terms of what we've been able to do with supporting students to graduation. I mean, we have a 81% 6-year graduation rate for first generation Pell Grant students. And nationally, first gen students in 6 years are about 24% graduation rate. So because of the success we've had, people know about CARE. And so for us, it's just being available to answer all the questions, being present for them in their schools so that they know these are people who really care about us. They are here walking us through the process. And when I mean walking them through, like we will do an essay writing workshop with them. We invite parents and family members and supporters to come to those workshops so that they can kind of understand the process as well. But we're there to make sure that the application checklist is complete with check marks and that they can go through the review process. Because we know that for our first gen students, there is limited knowledge sometimes around just how do I do college? How do I even apply? Do I do a common app or do I do the institutional application? One of the big questions we often get is, why do I have to do 2 years of FAFSA for Florida State or for CARE when I'm only starting in 25, 26? And so we kind of explain all of those little nuances to them, and it really builds our rapport with them. And they truly see us as someone they can trust, and that if they're admitted to Florida State, they would love to be here because of how we've shown up for them during that application process.
So we have a student, you're working with them, they apply to Florida State, they are accepted. What happens next? Because just the thought of a student who's been through all this to physically move and to start a new life and a big adventure like that, that's a lot. And what happens to them once they get in?
Yes, all right. So once a student is admitted to Florida State through our care department, so we work with them to send a lot of communication. And so that communication goes to both the student and whoever they listed as a parent or a family member, support if they included someone. And so we give them a lot of information. We break down for them in our communications the financial aid process. A lot of this stuff would be shared traditionally at orientation, but again, we understand that our first gen students are coming in with very limited understanding of what that college going process may look like for them. So we want to front load this. So we're explaining FAFSA, we're explaining their financial aid award. We are advising them, don't sign a lease for an apartment until you know what your financial aid award is. So we're really holding their hands through this journey. So we explain the financial side of it. We break down what the academic course experience will be at Florida State. So a lot of this stuff is happening before they even step foot on campus. And so for us, it's important that they have time to process this and can ask any questions that they may have of us during that process. We do virtual admitted student events. So again, giving them the space to just ask the questions. And for us, there's no wrong question. And so we record those, we share those out. Our Office of Admissions and our Alumni Association do a great job of hosting some newly admitted student events. And so our students get invited to that. And so they can start meeting faculty and staff from the entire university. So they know CARE because we've been with them through this process, but we also know it's important for them to know other people on campus who can support them along their way. So they're getting access to a ton of information very early on. And just like any high school student, we know they're not going to remember it all. And so that's where orientation comes in once they get here to kind of reinforce some of that information we've shared early on. So we're giving it to them multiple times to make sure they get it. But they also connect with our students. So we like to engage our current students with our admitted students so they can hear from them about their experience. And it's not just the staff talking about it, but it's truly the student experience about what it's like being a student at Florida State.
Deonte, what do you get from the families? Do you get an excitement from them, or are they anxious about their student going? Or that's got to be a big impact on the family if the student has been working to support the family during high school. So what's that like for the family? Yeah,
you touched on it. It's all types of emotions. There's excitement mixed in with nervousness, mixed in with concern. And so we help our families navigate all of those emotions as their student is transitioning. And we remind our students as well that this is your college experience, but it's also having an impact on your families. And so we want you to be mindful of that as they have to learn how to navigate their new norm of you not being there. And so we work with our families. That's why we also include them on all of our communication with the students, because we want them to know we still see them as a partner in their students' college experience. And so our Office of Admissions, again, great partner. They will also send out communications to family members and supporters just about how to support your student through this journey. And so it's a great tag team of them getting information. And so, for example, we have, again, our students who are coming from as far as Miami-Dade, right? So for their family members, sometimes we hear the concern of they're so far away from me. What happens if I can't get to them? And so we talk through all the resources that Florida State offers, but we also talk about Leon County, Tallahassee as a whole. So we want them to feel like they know their way around Tallahassee a little bit without necessarily having to be here. But our families stay in touch with us. They know they can still email care at FSU or call our office, and we're going to support them and answer questions, connect them with the right resources. So we really try to help them with that bit of nervousness. And the excitement, we have families who are like, where can I buy my FSU mom shirt, my dad shirt for orientation last year? We had one family, they all went to the bookstore right after moving, and everybody got FSU stuff. And so they were taking pictures around campus. So there's also that excitement about their student starting this journey. And then for the gaps that they may feel are there, especially from the financial perspective, a lot of our families are concerned about how they are going to be able to support their child while they're here and still maintain like their own household expenses. So we hear that a lot from our families, and just that uneasiness about the financial piece. And so our financial aid office, our student financial services, they take time and really explain that process to our families, and let them know that we are here to be a resource and a support for the student. And so we don't want that concern or that barrier of the finances to really hinder the student from having their ultimate Florida State experience. And so we do a lot of behind the scenes work to help our students develop budgets and understand how to select living accommodations or experiences, or plan for things like study abroad that really would allow you to maximize your funding that you are getting for your college education. And so we also have to have sometimes the uncomfortable conversations with our students about sending money back home, or, you know, how do I save and budget? Because we've had students, you know, they get money and it's like, I've never had this amount of money before. Yeah. What do I do with it? And so we're having a lot of uncomfortable conversations as well with students, but it's a learning experience. Sure. And so I think at the end of the day for CARE, that's what our focus is. We want this to be a learning, growing, supportive environment for our students and their families.
So when they come, this is the just getting them here. So while they're on campus, so you said typically CARE students are more on a 6-year path than a traditional 4-year path.
So we actually, in terms of data, we kind of look at the national norm is to report graduation on a 6-year path. We want them out in 4 years with their degree. So that is our goal of 4-year graduation. And the majority of our students do achieve that 4-year graduation rate. But we do have some, for example, our engineering students, because we do have a number of engineering students, they're always going to be a 5-year path. And so that's why we typically go with a 6-year reporting, just because we know that engineering number is in there. But the majority of our students are going to graduate in 4 years. And so within that time, we help them navigate all of the things about college. Within CARE, one of the unique services that we have is our own in-house academic advisors. And so they are more of a generalist, and so they can help students understand academic policies, select some of their general education coursework, but they can do a warm handoff to the academic college major advisors, or they can help the students process through what information was just shared by their major advisors. Or for the ones who get to the point they're like, you know, I thought I wanted to do XYZ major, and I don't like this content. Help me find something else. We also have those conversations.
Which is a typical journey for any college student.
And for our first generation students, there's often concern about changing the plan. Because for them, they've talked about this with their families, and this is the plan I set out to. This is what my family is expecting me to get my degree in, and how do I have that conversation with them? So our advisors help students kind of process through that piece as well. But we're making sure that they're on a 4-year graduation plan. We support them when life happens, because life does happen. And that's what we tell students when they come for orientation. You know, life doesn't care that you are trying to get a degree from Florida State and be the best you that you can. Things will happen. We've had students experience loss of parents, grandparents, We've had students who needed to take time away to focus on their mental health and well-being. We've had students who decide they want to go join the military. But with all of those students, we always say, what is the plan? How can we help you make sure that when you are ready to continue your education, that you can do so uninhibited at Florida State? And so we developed the plan for them to return. So we're just going to stay with them. And, recently in the homecoming parade, we were chanting "Care because we care." And that's really what it's about. We want to make sure that we are providing the services that let students know we see you as a human being. Yes, you're a student at Florida State, but you are a human being with life happening all around you every day. And so we're going to make sure we are attending to those aspects of you as well. So we have the advisors. We have opportunities for students to connect, because community is really important for first-gen students. We often share, the first-gen identity is an invisible identity. You can't walk around and see someone and say, oh, that's a first-gen student. You just don't know. And so for our students, for them, they enjoy being able to have a place where they can come, because we're located in the Thagard building here on campus. They have resources there. They can see each other. We have study rooms, computer labs, but that is their space. And so they can form the connections that will help them navigate their academic colleges, as they may feel like they're one of the only first-gen students in a major. But chances are there's other care students in those majors as well. And so they can connect and form those relationships and support each other in that way. So that community piece is very big for our students. And it really propels them in their experience. I mean, we have students who've gone on to become SGA president, vice president. We have students who are doing undergraduate research, competing for national fellowships, studying abroad. And so they're able to do that because of the type of support that we have, with the things that cost money. We do help them plan out and figure out, how do you save and account for some of that? How do you apply for awards? But we also just have those conversations and we encourage them. We read personal statements for graduate school. We will talk with them about their interests and figure out what opportunities have we known other care students to participate in, or what internships have our care students done. And so we can pass that on to more students who are coming in. So we are a resource hub for them, and we just want them to be able to have their own unique college experience and not feel like they have to limit themselves because of prior circumstances.
It's like a true network. For context, how many care students are there, currently?
So we're about 3,000 care students.
Wow.
On the collegiate side, which has increased since. So in 2021, when I arrived, we were about 1,600 students supported by care. And so in that time, we've added some additional programs within the department to support the growing first-gen and Pell eligible population. So we're close to 3,000 students that we're supporting on the collegiate side.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of kids. That's great, though. That's exciting.
It
must
is.
feel so good to just know that there's that many kids who are getting that opportunity.
Yes, and so for so long we heard students say, well, I'm not in care, but my friend is, and they get this type of support. How can I be a part of care? And we even had a group of students who we kind of like borrowing from sports. We had walk-ons, so they weren't officially accepted by us through the admissions process, but they were able to affiliate in some way and did some of the activities we did. But we knew we could do more, and so we were able to really develop two additional unique programs within the department that have allowed us to expand to about 3,000 students. Yeah. So the walk-ons are no longer walk-ons. They have their own unique identity. And so it's been really exciting for us to enter this new era of innovation and growth within the department, because our students are benefiting from a larger network of their peers. So they're able to connect more. And we now have students in just about every academic college on this campus. There is a care student. So we feel pretty good about that part of what we're doing.
So as they start to near toward graduation, what does care do to kind of get them ready to get their first job or transition or go back into the real world after being on college.
Yeah, partnerships is so important to us. And so one of the partnerships we have on campus is with the Career Center. So we have a career liaison who currently happens to be a CARE alum. So she participated in CARE when she was an undergrad, but she works directly with our CARE and our first gen students. So everything from mock interviews to resume review. This year, they actually did a special career fair tour for our first gen students. So they actually, in the assistant VP for career services, he actually walked our students through the career fair to talk about the employers that were there and to give them advice on how to connect. So they really had this behind the scenes experience. And so on the career side, there's so much that they can do, and they're tailoring services directly to our first gen population, which is very important for us. We have industry partners who like to come in and do information sessions specifically for our first gen students. And so we always welcome that. And it gives them the opportunity to ask the questions, and they understand the audience. The employers know they are coming to talk to first gen students. And so they're able to tailor that messaging so that our first gen students can get the information they need and ask questions without feeling judged for asking questions. And then on the graduate school side, so we actually have what we call our Bridge to Graduate Education initiative within CARE. And so this semester, I was one of the instructors for the course that we offer. And so students can sign up to take a course that helps them explore graduate school. So thinking about the fit, how do you finance graduate education? We did resume review, personal statement review. We developed their list of schools that they would apply to, and it became a community of support for them as they were navigating that piece. And so that's for the students who are like, yes, I need weekly accountability to make this happen. But for the students who are like, I'm exploring graduate school, not fully sure if I'm going that route, we do workshops on graduate education for them, so they can sign up to come to a personal statement workshop, or like, how do I know if graduate school is for me? So we do some sessions like that just for the students who are exploring, to really help them understand what that is. And then outside of the kind of education piece, for the experiential learning part of it, because we do encourage our students to do internships, study abroad, shadow people, do informational interviews. We encourage all of that to help them understand what's next for them. And so we actually are partnering with the Alumni Association to do a mentorship experience for our students in CARE. And so they'll be able to find an alum mentor or someone who's serving, on one of our Alumni Association boards to meet with over the spring semester and kind of get insight into what their experience is. We did a pilot of this, I think in the spring. We kind of did a soft launch. And of course, whenever you do something new, students are like, why do I have to do this? But one of the students, after that experience, in her reflection, she talked about how she was able to connect with someone who really gave her great advice and resources on going into a field where there's not a lot of women who are within that particular field and industry. And so how does she navigate that? What are the experiences she can be looking for now as an undergrad to really set herself up to be successful going into there? And so initially they were like, why do we have to do this? But they found great value after that. And that was just a one interaction. We only said, hey, reach out to this person, do an informational interview. And from that, there are multiple mentorships that have developed and blossomed. And so the students have still been talking with their mentors even after the spring semester. And then we also recently launched an enrichment fund. And so students in some of our programs have the opportunities to apply for up to $2,000 to help them with some of their experiential learning experiences that they're looking for. So whether that's support for their internship, or studying abroad, which is a big one. And then if there's conference presentations or conferences they want to attend. So the fund is really meant to be a barrier reducer for them. We hate that sometimes money does come into play. And so if there's times where we can we can support students, we're looking into doing that for them. And so a lot of things we're doing to kind of help them to see what life is like beyond Florida State after they have their degree. And very soon we'll be launching a new colloquium course for our students to kind of help them be peer-to-peer support for each other as they talk through life beyond Florida State. And one of the great things about our students and the connections we have is they will always follow back up with us after they have left Florida State and talk about their experiences. And so this life beyond Florida State piece really was birthed out of us hearing from our students, and particularly those of our students who were moving away from Florida or not going back home. It's like I went to a new city, had a job, that's great, but I didn't have community because they were so used to what CARE in Florida State offered, they didn't know how to navigate some of those spaces. And so we'll be talking about that. We'll be helping them understand that, it's okay, just like it was okay to change a major. It's okay if you realize that job is not the job for you. And so how do you then navigate that piece? And so we'll be having a lot of great topics and discussions in those courses once we roll those out next year. But we're really excited about that next piece of helping them thrive beyond Florida State.
What a holistic approach.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you're really looking at it from all aspects of the journey. You yourself are a first gen college student, so tell us a little bit about your educational journey.
Yeah, so I actually participated in the Upward Bound program that's housed within CARE here at Florida State when I was in high school, and so through Upward Bound, they helped me kind of explore college options. I knew I was going to go to college, and I tell people this all the time. I knew I was going to college because I didn't want to do the family business because that required me to work in the Florida sun. And so I was like, the heat, not my thing. And so I always knew that I would do college. I didn't know how I was going to do college, but I knew I would do college. And so Upward Bound really helped me explore college options. And so through college tours, application workshops, I was able to get into every college I applied to. I'm from Quincy, Florida, so not far. So really on the doorsteps of Florida State and Florida A&M. But for me, I wanted a different experience, and Upward Bound gave me that option when they took me on a college tour to UCF, University of Central Florida. And I was like, all right, it's 4 hours from home. So first gen mindset, if anything happens, my family can get to me relatively quickly. I had some, family friends were in the area, so I felt like there was a support system there for me. But I found UCF, loved it, and I went through all the things that I see my students going through today. Like I was concerned about changing my major, changed it multiple times, but I found the major that was perfect for me. I thought about the finances. I remember one summer, I was enrolled in classes and they wanted me to take out a loan. And I called my mom and I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm not taking out this loan. And she was like, well, if you need to take the class, you need to get the loan. And so I had in my mind this idea that this loan was going to be a bad thing and I shouldn't do this. But I graduated on time, and $1,000 loan was smart borrowing for me because that is what I needed to fill a gap. And so I talk to my students all the time about, borrow smartly. You don't have to borrow every dollar that they offer, but borrow smartly. And so I was able to navigate, college fairly well. I found a support system. So when I was at UCF, I didn't participate in a structured first gen support program. I actually wanted to do one, and I laugh about this to this day. I actually reached out to admissions because they did have a program. They're like, well, you weren't selected for that. And I was like, okay, I understand, but I want to do this program. And so I didn't have that structured support, so I had to create it, and I created it with faculty members who really kind of took me under their wings and talked to me about opportunities. And so through the connections I made with faculty, I ended up being a UCF legislative scholar. So I had a fully paid internship my final semester, which brought me back to Tallahassee to intern at the state capitol. I mean, they covered everything: housing. I had a parking pass. I thought I was, the best intern. Yes. And so, but that was part of my development as a first gen student, was really understanding the importance of faculty in my journey. And that not all faculty will be first gen, but if they care enough to want to support me, I'm going to utilize their support. And so knowing also when to ask for help was something I learned in my journey. And so I didn't think at the time when I was finishing my degree that I would be in the position I'm in now. I thought I would be influencing policy in state government, but I reflected on what I enjoyed doing my undergrad experience, and it was the work I got to do working in the registrar's office as a work study student, because I worked while I also attended classes. It was the summers I spent working with high school students through Upward Bound. And so I was like, all right, I love state government, but I also really love being on a college campus and working with students, working with my peers. And so that led me to change my entire plan post graduation. So I was supposed to get a master's in public administration, become a lobbyist, and then I switched to getting a master's in educational leadership. And I've been working in higher ed since 2010.
Wow, and you got your PhD.
I got my PhD from Clemson University. And so funny story, I was first generation when I started college, so I was the first in my family. My mom actually graduated from college the semester before I graduated from college. So she graduated December of 2007. I graduated May 2008.
Good for
so so we're in this unique club in our family. So I tell my sisters they're not first gen, so they're not special. But I did go on to, I was the first in my family to get a master's degree. And then my mom got her master's degree after me, first to get the PhD. And my mom has told me she's not doing the PhD. She's done.
Yeah.
And so now I'm pushing my sister, who's in a master's program, to eventually get the PhD. But it has been a rewarding experience for me to navigate all of those firsts for the family and to be able to be a resource for them and for the students I work with. And so I enjoy it. I'm happy. I'm proud to be first gen. I talk about that whenever I can, and especially the value of Upward Bound, which really helped me figure out how to do college and how to apply to college.
So you've come literally full circle.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Deonte Brown, congratulations to you and the CARE team, because clearly you all are doing some amazing things. And we just really appreciate your time and everything you're doing.
Thank you so much for having me. It really means a lot that you all are taking time to amplify the first gen experience, because our students need the support. They need the listening ears. They need a chance, and you'll be amazed at what they can accomplish when just given the opportunity to show up and be their authentic selves.
Oh, we're so excited to talk to the students themselves. So awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me again.
Thanks for spending your time with Think Bigger Voices. Visit thinkbigforkids.org/podcast to see more episodes, follow our journey, and stay connected.